Hey everybody, happy Sunday. It's Caleb again. The question for today is, um, does testosterone pose health risks? What are the health risks of being on hormones? Instead of kind of going off my own experience with this one, I'm going to do a hybrid, and this video is going to be a little bit longer than I normally do. So I put 3 links that that I used when I was investigating starting hormones a few years ago. It's the Hudson's Guide, the Masculinizing Hormones link, and Trans Advocate Ask Matt link. I also have another link for Zagria Blogspot about a trans man I'm going to reference later in the video to give some information about him. So, real quick, one of the things that you'll read in the links, all the links that I posted, is that testosterone makes the fat redistribute. So I've been overweight for the last decade and a half or so. So all my fat has come to my gut. So I have a big old beer belly. I'm working on reducing it. It's slow. But that extra weight in my gut puts me at higher risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes. Also, genetic history plays a part. Excuse me. So, my family history, there's a lot of aneurysms, lots of strokes. My dad died of complications to strokes, heart attacks. Diabetes is all over in my family. So it's more than me being on hormones. Even if I wasn't on hormones, I need to lose weight and get in shape. Smoking increases the risk. Tobacco use in general increases the risk for heart disease, stroke. Just the same as in the cisgender population. It's just beneficial to live a healthy lifestyle, regular exercise, try to eat healthy. I'm working on it, like I said. Obviously, I am not the pillar of health at the moment. There's another aspect, I think, to health other than the physical aspect. It's the mental health aspect that I want to touch on. One of the questions on the Ask Matt site was if testosterone makes trans men fly into rages. Not necessarily. I mean, it hasn't happened for me. I still get angry, but testosterone's calmed me down quite a bit. My anger comes out differently now. I'm far more quiet than I was. I'm less outspoken. And if I have any friends in my life that are watching this, they're gonna wonder what in the world I was like before. But yeah, no, I've calmed down quite a bit. I don't fly off the handle like I used to. I still can get angry, but I work out to kind of blow that steam off. And then the other aspect of health, these aren't necessarily health risks, but these were things that I read about on the links that I posted, but I didn't really ask anyone, like, what were they like? What were these changes like what things do I need to expect emotionally and physically through a second puberty? And through a second puberty, I guess the first year on T, I was an emotional basket case. It was a roller coaster, and I'm not trying to deter anybody. And this may not be true for every trans man, but that's what happened for me. It was just like puberty all over again. Lots of emotions. Irrational emotions. I don't know if emotions are rational anyway. Whatever, doesn't matter. That has subsided. Thank God, a little bit. And therapy helped. It still helps. The other thing I wasn't expecting was that my emotions changed. Not changed, but I expressed them differently. The emotions that used to be in the background are now more in the foreground. I'm still capable of empathy, but it's just different. I express things differently. I don't cry as easily as I used to. I can still cry. It just it doesn't happen at the drop of a hat anymore. It takes a little more effort. It is easier for me to feel anger, to cry from anger, than it is for me to cry from sadness, which is different because it used to be the other way around. Um, Before testosterone, I wouldn't cry out of anger. I would just punch the walls, just scream at somebody or throw chairs. Um, I don't act out like that all the time. Well, I don't throw chairs anymore, but I walk away more now. I'm not interested in altercations. I'll walk away if I feel like I'm getting real angry. But I cry out of anger more than I ever did before. So that's a difference. And I'm bringing this up because I wasn't expecting that to happen. And like I said, these aren't necessarily health risks, but they're things that have changed for me while being on hormones that I kind of wish I'd known about. I wish I would have asked someone who had a trans guy or trans masculine person who'd been on hormones, who'd been on T, just so I would have a heads up. Now, the other part I want to touch on is bias in the medical system. It's still inherent. That's just sort of common knowledge, unfortunately. A lot of general practitioners don't have a lot of knowledge about transgender. There's a lot of there's endocrinologists who specialize in hormones that don't have specific training for transgender health. And then if you have heart disease or diabetes, or you break your leg or whatever, it always comes back to the I guess the joke or the tongue-in-cheek phrase is transgender broken arm syndrome. I've been to a general practitioner for an ear infection, and after I was on T, and it was assumed that it must be a side effect of hormones, when in reality I just have really bad allergies because I've moved to a new area. So the fixation can be on the hormone changes rather than on the actual medical complaint, and that can pose a health risk. And this is where that link I was talking about for the trans man that I'm going to put, it's the Zagria Blogspot, on a trans man named Sullivan, who is a really prominent forerunner. He was the first one to really openly talk about the difference between gender and sexuality. He was the first openly gay trans man, and really broke down a lot of barriers. He passed away in 1991 from complications to AIDS, and this is where the medical bias comes in and kind of put things in perspective, I guess. His famous quote is, "I took a certain pleasure in informing the gender clinic in San Francisco, where he lived at the time, that even though their program told me that I could not live like a gay man, meaning he couldn't get treatment for AIDS, it looks like I'm going to die like one," and he did. He was still seen as a female human, even though he had had top surgery. And I believe he had bottom surgery. I don't know. I don't have that verified or not, but it doesn't matter. We know that, well, maybe not everybody knows, but you don't have to have surgery or even go on hormones to be a valid transgender person, right? To be a trans man, you're a man. That's all it is. To be trans masculine, you're masculine. That's all it is. Some of us decide to have a medical transition as well. So because he was seen as female, he was seen as a female who had AIDS and therefore didn't qualify for the AIDS clinic, which was only for gay men at the time. Now things have changed. We know that women are capable of getting AIDS. Any human being is capable of getting HIV that can turn into AIDS. And treatments have become more available, but there's still this bias in the medical field where they don't have a lot of information on transgender health care, that some trans men require pelvic exams, and that doesn't make them a woman, right? Some trans women require prostate exams. That doesn't make them a man. It's a separation between who we actually are and how our body structures grew. And those can pose health risks because health concerns, complaints, symptoms that would ordinarily be diagnosed correctly can be overlooked because the focus is on our identity as a transgender person and not on a human being with a specific body type that doesn't really have anything to do with their identity. I hope that made sense. And then just another one I want to touch on because it makes me chuckle. On the Hudson site, question number 6 that was submitted was, does testosterone make you gay? And the reason I want to touch on that, I was married, before I came out, I was married to a cisgender man and tried to play the role of a wife for 13 years. I'm attracted to women and always have been. So, if that didn't make me gay, I promise testosterone isn't going to do it. Just putting that out there and wanting to end like sort of a real heavy conversation on sort of an upbeat note. Like I said, I'm posting all the links. I'm also going to post my email address if there's any questions you have that I didn't touch on with hormones. Leave them in the comments. I'm also sensitive to some people might be investigating this, but they're not in a place where they can safely Google it. Or they're not ready to come out, or whatever it is. That's fine. I'll put my email address. Send me an email. Send me a private email. I will find whatever information I can, and I'll get it to you discreetly. I can also connect you with other people for support. The other thing I want to touch on, because I did bring up Sullivan on purpose, one for the medical bias part, but also to validate if any of you are trans men and you're gay or bisexual, that's absolutely normal. I just need you to know that. It's not abnormal, it's just maybe uncommon. And I don't even know if it's uncommon. It's just different. It's not, there's nothing wrong with you. So, and I bring that up because recently I had a friend who's really struggling with that. So, yeah. Obviously, I didn't touch on the side effects of suicide or homicide because I figured those went without noting. Those are other health risks, but they have nothing to do with testosterone necessarily. But it is hate that can be experienced by some trans people. I didn't want to go too deeply in that because it's not directly linked to taking testosterone. But like I said, if you have any questions, drop me a comment. If you're not in a space where you can do that, send me an email. I hope this helped. I'm sorry the video was much longer than normal, but I felt like this one kind of needed to be. So, thank you and happy Sunday.